After a wet and wild qualifying session, Kevin Dwyer in car number 72 has taken out the Delano Polo Award for the Round of England. On his outside will be Yamino Tenchi in car number 25. The major news item of the weekend is that the two Colton Morel Altairs, driven by Adrian Devereux and Luciano Salvarol, have surprisingly been declared legal after the first three races, meaning that Adrian Devereux's massive points lead remains intact. This story, however, is like a Frankenstein monster. It just won't die, because several other teams have actually appealed that decision, including Team SAR USA Flash Racing, the Michelin Sons team, Owen DeGamo's team, Black Diamond Racing, Majestic Motorsports, just to name a few. I believe Xenos is among those numbers as well. For the most part, all of the teams that have protested are represented by big manufacturers, which I personally find a little interesting, seeing as that Colton Morel is in and of itself a big manufacturer. The major difference being that Colton Morel's Altair is not a street model, whereas most of the other manufacturers actually have entered a street model into this series. Of the other manufacturers in the series, only Gessler, Volpe, and Tenair have expressed support for the Colton Morel Altair design. All three of those manufacturers also are not entering road models, interestingly enough. I believe that some of the other manufacturers, though, are getting a little tired of seeing cars that aren't road models actually doing well. Now, the only representatives of the big three in the series, SAR and Inglesby, have a lot of money and a lot of influence. And in the past couple of years, the only thing they've actually agreed on is that cars should have four wheels on them. Meaning, of course, I think they are hell-bent on getting Adrian Devereux and Luciano Salvarol disqualified from the first two races at least. I just hope this off-track soap opera doesn't overshadow the action on the track. Dan, off to you. Thank you, Lance. Kevin Dwyer, one of the great new American hopefuls for the future, is on the pole there, leading the field down Paddock Hill. And there you see alongside Yamino Tenchi in that yellow 25 car of Japan. Did not get as good of a start, neither did Dwyer's teammate Blake Camphouse in the red 15 car. As they come down through Druid's Bend here, a very tight corner. We got a pretty big accordion effect here usually, and that usually results in problems. And it looks like we've got some in the back, but Kevin Dwyer has opened up a huge lead already on Arto Kekkonen, and Dwyer is trying to stretch his lead in the 72 car, and hope to have a good day today. Now here it is in the back, some action here. Avery Holtzman in the 19 car is going to get escorted into the tires by Barton Sandy in the 92. That's just kind of accordion effect that you usually get here. Now here's Jacob Eicholtz in that light gray car. Now he just runs Rene Reckimer off the road. Reckimer's not too happy about that, as we're on board with Lewis Kingston. And you're going to see what happens here between the 19 and the 92, and it looks like they just run out of room there. Although Holtzman didn't exactly give Sandy a whole lot of room, but probably could have given him a bit more room. Here we go now. As I see, someone's off. That's Tom Delgado making his return to the series. And Anthony Griff, we got more trouble. There's problems everywhere. We got at least 8 cars spinning. There's another incident in the back between Packer Carroll and Ian Cooper. And that swept up Scott Bates, Julian Asova, Dan McKay at least. Now, I don't know what these two lunatics are doing. The 08 car was trying to run the 37 off, and the 37 just petulantly just ran into him, and into the 08 car ran him off. Salvarol's in it. There's another car in there. I think it's Kingston, the 17 car. Now here's what happened between the 2 and the 777. Now Packer just tries to clear the 777 car. He's not clear of him. Cooper, on the other hand, doesn't like being run into the wall. Just hooks the 2 car in front of, a bunch of different other cars. Looks like that was Zacked Up, was the other car that got swept up in that mess that I had seen earlier. Now watch left-hand side. There's the white car and the black and teal car. They're just trying to wreck each other on the grass. Now, I have no idea what those two idiots are doing. But then look at the back. There's Ian Cooper and Packer Carroll. Now, Cooper ends up knocking out his own teammate, Scott Bates, in the 88 car. Bates almost goes over as a result of hitting Dan McKay in the 50 car. Luciano Salvarol, one of the fastest cars all weekend, is going to go out on the first lap. Huge disappointment for the Brazilian. Whenever he's not up front, doesn't look like things could go right for him this year. Now, almost first lap shenanigans have elevated Cameron Taylor in this rather hideous 126 car to 21st place after starting last. He didn't pass a single car that wasn't run off the track or damaged. He hasn't been on the pace much all weekend, but if this keeps up, he might actually wind up with a good result. Here's a good battle for 13th between Zelda Ashby in the 55 and Jose Luis Martinez in the 7 car. Matthias Taub in the 10 is going to become involved here, though, as Martinez takes over the position. Ashby runs a little wide and brings the other car, the 10 car, into play. Now here is one of my favorite liveries in quite some time. It's Mika Turvo's Angry Birds Space livery here in car number 20. This is the FinTech bunch making their first run of the year, an Independence Trophy car. They're, of course, going to be running the Cariala Grand Prix with an extra car, and they're usually very strong there. Now here's Kevin Dwyer holding off Arto Käkkinen on lap 3. So Kevin Dwyer's had a good start to the race, and he and Käkkinen are beginning to gap the field just a little bit. It's great to see Kevin Dwyer having such a good run. This is easily going to be a boost to his confidence because he has been outpacing his teammate all year, but Arto Käkkinen is on the attack in that 9 car. Arto hunts down Dwyer, and he's going to slip around the 72 car, and Arto Käkkinen moves into the lead on the end of lap 3. Great move by Arto Käkkinen. Kevin Dwyer Dwyer is sliding that thing around, so Dwyer's car not handling very well, even though he's doing a great job so far. Arto Käkkinen in car number 9 is in the lead of the race. Adrian Devereaux is sitting there at 9th. That's the points leader so far. Going a bit further back, the 2 James Dalton cars, 18th and 19th, having strong starts to the race, along with Ryan Matthews in the 11 and Kurt Pliskin in car 16. Back in 9th place is championship leader Adrian Devereaux. Now, he was convinced he could have won the round of Carbondale even if it wasn't for that last caution, and the tire data seemed to prove that. That was actually the case. Now, Adrian Devereaux has not really been too impressed with the other teams appealing with Colton Morel Altair. All he's really said about it is that disqualifying him is the only way everyone else can beat him. Now here is Scott Stoidler in the 74 car and Blake Camphausen having a pretty intense battle for 5th place. Oh, Stoidler just ran him off the track. That wasn't very sportsmanlike. Oh, Stoidler just ran the 15 car straight off the road. Now they're stablemates technically, so I don't really know why they'd be racing that hard this early. Dan McKay is running in 27th place, and he's in danger of losing a lap before 10 laps are complete. He's been in the pits already, as is Ian Cooper. Now, Kevin Dwyer off the road. Oh, he's really having a handful. That car is definitely a handful as he loses 2nd to Yamino Tenshi in that yellow 25 car. Mika Turvo is running with Scott Stoidler now. They're battling for 4th. As Stoidler, I don't think they touched. Oh, but Turvo loses it in the last corner. I don't think they made contact, but the 20 cars went off into the tires. He's able to keep it going, though. Now here is, we're on lap 8 now. Here's the battle for 18th place between Kurt Pliskin and Craig Mummert. Now, what was that? Now, Pliskin just turned hard to the left and took Mummert right off the road. And you see that's being investigated right now. Blake Camphausen is running in 9th place, despite being run off the road there. He's been fairly competent this season. I've been impressed with Camphausen in this 15 car. Competing against Kevin Dwyer in the same team is not the easiest thing to do. Oh, I saw that one coming. But he's having a very good run this year. Yep, Chris Johans is running up to 4th now. He's going to try to get around the 72 car of Kevin Dwyer. He's gotten around his teammate Scott Stoidler, the 64 car. This is his best run of the year. Now here's Dan McKay going a lap down. It's not something I didn't expect, but was going to happen anyway, even if Dan McKay didn't get into a wreck. Now here's Michael Sykes. He's run more races here than everyone else about anything. He's going for 9th place, trying to battle with Marcus Leonard, but he bounces off the wall. Just hard racing there. And, oh, they're going 3 wide. Henton's off! Davina Henton in car number 6 goes off the road. This is just hard racing here. There's really nothing else you can say to that. Leonard gives him plenty of room, just barely touches. They go off the road. Now they're 3 wide because Henton's trying to make a 3 wide situation here. Sykesy just loses it just a bit off the corner, and off goes Henton into the tire wall over there. And Henton will rejoin in that number 6 car, but that was just a pure racing incident. That's all you can say. This is not a racing incident. Charlie Waters comes flying in under his teammate, battling for 18th place, and he just rams him into the tire wall. I'm really not sure why Charlie Waters felt compelled to do that. He does have a history of causing a lot of crashes unnecessarily, but that's your teammate! Shouldn't you have a little bit more discretion than that? The officials appear to agree with that, and they slapped him with a time penalty, which I think was absolutely the right thing to do. Yamino Tenchi is running in second place. That's Bart Sandy directly in front of the 25 car there. This has been a great run for Tenchi and what's been a very slow start to the year. Here is Dan McKay in car number 50. Scott Stoyler going to continue his run of... Wow. Well, Dan McKay wasn't exactly on the lead lap, and Scott Stoyler... I don't really know if he is justified in doing that, and, well... Kind of hard to say that. Kind of hard to say if you're entitled to start wrecking lap cars just because they're in the way, even though McKay wasn't really holding Stoidler up at that point. Well, Davina Henton's been in the pits after hitting the tire wall. She's off cycle and off the lead lap. Oh boy, this is not exactly what Henton wanted at her home race. It's not been a great weekend for Henton in the Volpe. She's wanted a lot more than this. And it's just not gone too well for this number 6 car. She's being a fairly gracious backmarker, though. She's moving out of the way, even though she has potentially a fast car. Ryan Matthews in car number 11 has suddenly slowed from 14th place, right as Charlie Waters is about to catch him there. Electrical problems put the 11 car out of the race. Kevin Dwyer pits on lap 12. Blake Camphausen and Michael Sykes pit with him. Long stop for Michael Sykes. And Arto Kekkonen pits one lap later, along with pretty much the rest of the field except for one car. The one car. Adrian Devereaux had just set fastest lap of the race. He's been saving fuel the entire first stint. Makes you wonder what Peter Keys and Adam Sampson, the owners of Team SAR USA and Flash Racing respectively, will say about this car. But is it really just the car? If Adrian Devereaux can make it go this far on a fuel load? Now, according to team owner Alan Hodges, Adrian Devereaux could have gone another lap, but if you saw that traffic there, that's why Adrian Devereaux hit the pit lane. Theoretically, he could have stayed out one extra lap. Arto Kekkonen is in the lead with 15 laps completed, and he's got a big lead over Adrian Devereaux. Now, that pit gamble has worked. That pit gamble vaulted him from 7th all the way up to 2nd place. He's actually slower than the cars behind him at the moment, but is he saving fuel again? If Devereaux is saving fuel again, it looks like he might actually be positioning himself to make a run on Arto Kekkonen later in the race. He is one of the quickest cars over an entire stint, but is not early on in the run. But if he's able to save all that extra fuel, that will help him later on. If he's able to get in a couple really quick laps at the end of the stint and gain some big ground that way. Leonid Roderick is running in 6th. The other 2 cars in front of him also have the same engines. Those are Inglesby cars, or rather Inglesby engines and Juno cars. And the other Inglesby, Michael Sykes, is the quickest car on the racetrack, other than the 64 car of Chris Johans. Pretty good day for Inglesby. It looks like they've got a lot of track signage around here, and looks like it's paying off. Here's Jose Luis Martinez getting, roughing up Barton Sandy a little bit. Now, Sandy in 26th place is sort of getting in the way. Martinez running in 8th. He's having a fantastic run so far. The Katsiv appears to be a legitimately competitive car this year, much to my surprise. Dale Roswell in 9th, having a fine day so far. He could be a championship spoiler a little bit if his form keeps up over the whole year. He's the oldest driver in the field by a fair margin. Here is Kevin Dwyer. Now, he's dropped all the way back to 12th place after his pit crew just, looks like the pit crew dropped the ball a little bit on this 72 car, and that's what sent him all the way back to 12th. In this, Team SAR USA SAR Eagle, having not exactly the best of days so far. Now, here's Blake Camphausen trying to pass Kurt Pliskin. This would be for 11th place if Pliskin didn't have a penalty. But Pliskin looks like he's not done with penalties because he just turned the 15 car into the wall. What was that about? Looked like Camphausen just was going to get him cleanly there, but Pliskin just did not want to be passed by a rookie, it looks like. Now here's Chris Johans. He's stuck behind Adrian Devereaux, and he's been there for a little while. The Michelin Sons team has accused the 1 car of actually blocking Johans, but the officials didn't agree, because if that was the case, I'm pretty sure they would have sent out a warning to Alan Hodges' team over there, and they haven't yet. But the 64 team insistent that Devereaux is blocking. Leonid Roderick pits on lap 21. He's got a puncture there. Now, Chris Johans been stuck by Adrian Devereaux for 5 laps now. We're on lap 22, and Chris Johans, he's just hooked him! Johans and Devereaux into the tire wall. They're both out. Chris Johans just hooked the back of the one car, and he just did not let off the gas. What was that all about? These two tangled at Road America with just a few laps to go last year, and they've gone into it again. They were the championship rivals last year, and that rivalry's heated up. There you see Johans really did not have enough space. He just kept moving, hooked the back of the one car, and just took him straight into the tire wall. These two drivers had a very heated exchange after that. But here's Leonid Roderick on cold tires. Matthias Taub on low fuel, and they get together. Roderick's out, and what was that all about? Roderick braked a little early, looks like to let Taub go, but Taub just came in there with a huge head of steam and punted Roderick off into the tires. So we've had two big incidents within a half a lap of each other. Not surprised at that time penalty, and he frankly deserves it. Taub heads to the pit lane. He's got a bunch of damage on that car. Car number 10. Taub apologized on the radio, but that doesn't always cut it sometimes. Roswell slides off the track. That's definitely a case of old tires there from, I think, 12th place or so. Lap 24, Yamino Tenchi hits the pit lane, and on lap 25, Arto Kekkonen hits the pit lane. He is the last car to pit. Looks like Kekkonen's team was paying attention to what Adrian Devereaux's team had been doing earlier in the race. But now that Devereaux was pretty much knocked out of the race by Chris Johans, I don't think Arto has too much to worry about because he's got a massive lead on Zelda Ashby and Scott Stoidler sitting in third place. Here is Ashby having a very quiet run so far after all of the chaos that's gone on today. Ashby has brought herself up to second place, and this is a fantastic run in the early part of the season for the Owen DeGarmo team in the Juno. I think there'll be more stickers on this 55 car, though, pretty soon, because Ashby's runs are certainly gaining quite a bit of attention. Here is Scott Stoidler in third, gotten around Zelda Ashby's teammate, Yamino Tenchi, back in fourth place. Great run for the two Japanese drivers and for Scott Stoidler, who, frankly, I think needs a good run in order to amend his terrible season last year. But how about this guy? Jose Luis Martinez is up in fifth. The Katsev is really competitive this year. But in sixth place is Michael Sykes, who after a couple of long pit stops and annoying back markers, has set the fastest 4 laps of the race. He's won numerous times at this track in various series, most of them in British touring cars, but Michael Sykes showing that he still knows how to get around here in a Master Cup car. He made his debut here 2 years ago. Battle for 18th place is going to end with Jacob Eicholtz going off the track in car 231, and he's going to bring it back on track. He's had a bit of a messy day so far. Here's Cameron Taylor. We haven't talked about him at all. He has the fastest pit crew out here by far. He's running in 9th place. He hasn't made many passes for position all day. He's just kind of been running out there by himself. And he's literally taken this position by default. He really hasn't been a whole lot to say about him. He hasn't been making too many passes. And not too many people have been around him. Here's Davina Henton in that number 6 car. She was a lap down earlier in the race. This is a battle for position. Henton makes a move, just gives him a little bump and run, and considering the 6 car was in the tire wall earlier in the day, this is a great run for Henton. However, no one's really going to have anything for the front of the field, and Arto Kekkonen is going to run away with this race, winning by well over 20 seconds. A fantastic win for the Finn, even though his major competition took each other out earlier on. Zelda Ashby and Scott Stoidler complete the podium. Great run for Tenchi and Martinez. Michael Sykes, Kevin Dwyer, great recovery drive. Marcus Leonard, that's what he needed. A quiet day today. Brings himself all the way up to 8th place. Davina Henton, 9th. Another fantastic run. And Cameron Taylor, his best finish of his career so far. However, he got that largely by default. The 2 cars behind him were involved in crashes on the first lap, and I think pretty much everyone else behind Cameron Taylor was in some kind of major incident at one point. This race definitely created a lot of job openings for panel beaters. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of them needed after this one. Great points finishes for Dale Roswell, Charlie Waters, even though he got a time penalty. If he didn't get that time penalty, Charlie Waters would have been 12th. And if Kurt Pliskin didn't get 2 time penalties, he would have been 11th. I should also point out that Matthias Taub, if he didn't get his time penalty, would have been 17th. Lesson of the day, don't cause avoidable collisions. Thank you. And let's have a look at the Drivers' Championship after 4 races this year. There was no way Adrian Devereaux was going to lose the championship lead after this race. Arto Kekkonen, though, has moved within striking distance, and so has Zelda Ashby in the 55 car. Luciano Savaro still a ways back. Yulia Nasova in the 8 car continues her fantastic season so far. Katsev might actually win a race this year with this kind of form, and so may Scott Bates in that 88 car. Davida Henton continuing her good run so far. Matthias Taub in 9th place in the championship. I'm pretty sure he's going to get sent to the back, at least, for the next race. Kevin Dwyer, great run so far early on in the year. Look at those 2 Inglesby guys, though. Leonard Roderick and Michael Sykes continuing to sneak their way up the points charts. If they get any luck at all, I think Roderick and Sykes will win multiple races this year. Yamino Tenchi in the 25 car, slow start to the year, but it looks like things are finally beginning to turn around. Martinez in the 7 car is kind of the same way, and Kurt Pliskin, well, today was a big opportunity that he just threw away. Let's have a look at the Independence Trophy standings after 4 races. Eichholtz and Sandy have advanced their position in the Independence Trophy, moving around Dan Leckleiter. Now, I wouldn't be feeling too good about only getting 95 points in 2 starts. Cameron Taylor in the 126 car. Well, if you got to get a bunch of points by default, that's how you do it. And Mika Turvo in the 20 car as well. Those 2 scores I'd be feeling pretty good about after 1 race. I'd say they're still in contention. Although, right now, I'd have to say that 95 points with only 2 starts is kind of troublesome, and the same with the 2 guys in the right-hand column, Troy Adams and Tom Moore. The next time those 2 cars show up, they're going to have to put something big up on the boards if they want to keep in contention for the Independence Trophy, because there is a lot of very strong cars out there, and you're going to need to be good at all 4 of your races if you want to have a shot at winning the Independence Trophy.